Tanner Dawson to my right, Jason G to my left. What's up, fellas?
What a time of year.
What a time of year. I mean, what time of year is this time of year,
College
Tanner?
basketball, NBA.
Wait a minute. Did you just call him Jason?
I almost
Well,
did. That's a hell of a start right there.
You just had a little bit too much to drink, didn't you?
A little too much of the Kool-Aid, I guess. But, you guys just look so much alike. I couldn't, for a second there, I got confused. First of all, let's talk about college basketball being an exciting time for him.
Yes.
If I remind you quickly, both of you two, last night was a fun time for myself watching Kansas State put up a 83-82 whooping over KU. How about that?
Who would have thought the Kansas Jayhawks would hire the Miami doctor so Juan Harris can get back after that concussion?
Well, I mean,
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Crazy things happen, and there's 49 fouls in that game. So
It was insane.
I think that
It was rigged.
Hey,
It was rigged.
welcome to college basketball. That's how things play out.
When you call that many fouls or throw that many flags, dude, it's rigged.
It's
Right.
awful.
Hey, there's a lot of rigged things that are going on in sports these days.
I still stand on record, though, that K-State will be a force for my Jayhawks here. So there's something this year.
Okay. Hey, if you say so. Hey, we're holding off on the college b-ball talk too much today because we're talking a whole hell of a lot of Chiefs. You guys see our poster back here. See, I'm just pumped. See our poster back here. Big shout out to Hy-Vee for donating this poster to the show.
Oh, man.
My favorite part of this poster is Jerick McKinnon being right in the smack dab middle. He has been our late season MVP, basically, of the year. So, yeah, big shout out to Hy-Vee for the donation today. So
I love it.
Those guys are awesome.
They willingly donated it.
Oh yeah, they wanted us to have that, for the show, because for the kingdom, basically playoff style. All right, guys. Jason, how you doing?
I stole it.
Okay.
I stole that poster.
Yeah, if that's what we need to say on air, that's fine.
But
we're not typically thieves out here, though.
I feel like the value. I feel like the true value of that poster was less than $5, so I don't think I'm going to incriminate myself.
JG out here.
So I feel pretty confident about that.
JG, the man of hot takes and causing crimes.
We stole it. We stole it.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So that's the way life goes, and that's the way we do business here with the sports buffoons. So speaking of cheating, at least we saw this past weekend with the AFC divisional games that the good news is we're not seeing Carl Cheffers and Cleet Blakeman as well, also not going to be involved in the Chiefs game this weekend. So they actually ended up with Sean Hockley as referee for the Chiefs versus Jaguars game. But I'll get into that more in just a moment because I needed to point out the cheaters. But Tanner, so you are sipping on something special today. So for once and all, I mean, normally you got water. Normally you got
a Pepsi, random stuff. So
tell me what you got.
So today, guys, I got the Boulevard Chocolate Dipped Cherry Imperial Stout here, 15%. Let's see if I can get a little closer to the camera there. Actually, you know what? I can taste the cherry. I can taste the chocolate, and it is freaking delicious. Might take me all show, maybe into my betting show too, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes in at a whopping, 15%, you said?
15%.
Holy moly, Boulevard, yeah.
I also have a 15%, but it's probably not a big surprise. I have the same thing in front of me every single freaking week.
You're obsessed.
The Buzzballs Chalk Teas.
It is the woman-owned Buzzball Chalk Teas.
I did not know that.
It is.
You're enlightening me right now, and I appreciate you for that.
I'm just telling you the facts. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying your drinks over there. I just got myself a little soda, so ignore the what?
A little something in it, I'm sure.
Just happy stuff.
Just happy
stuff.
That's
all. Just
that's
happy stuff. So mainly because I'm just happy about this week going forward, and we get Chiefs Saturday 3:30 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I was at the Jaguars game earlier this season, and it felt like the Chiefs had full control over that game all the way through. Jacksonville kind of came back there towards the end, put up some points, and truthfully, the last score of that game made it look a little closer than it really was on paper. The Chiefs had that in full control the entire way. But we're going to dig into a lot of stuff here.
What's up, Tufel? He says, my guys.
Yo, yo, yo.
The big Chiefs guy, right? From Twitch.
Okay.
So.
Oh, I do want to say real quick, speaking of Chiefs guys. So, Mr. Cole from How About Those Chiefs over there, I'm sure all of you listening know who that is. So my dad took some beers, some big high strong beers from Colorado to him this past weekend, and he on air was drinking a beer called the Sorcerer. Can't remember what brewery that was from, but it was 15.9% ABV. I don't think Cole's used to drinking those kinds of beers, so he was having a couple of those during his live show during the games, the playoff games, and I think it took him by surprise whenever he had a couple sips.
The Sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Is it Green King?
Doesn't sound familiar. It's an imperial stout, of course. But yeah, he had that, and he was very shocked by it. So, but anyways, I hope he had a few others with that. I hope that Cole enjoys those beers along the ways. But and those of you listening, I'm sure you guys follow him as well. He's up to like 65,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, and he's just killing it over there, doing a great job putting out content every day. And it's admirable. I'll put it that way. So, anyways.
Jersey.
Wow. Anyways, Tanner will find out the source. I can't remember.
There's tons. There's like if you look out for Colorado, right? The spell of the Sorcerer's Skull.
If you
North
say
Park.
Sorcerer and Imperial Stout, it'll pop right. It should pop right up. And it's
Imperial
from
Stout.
somewhere in Colorado. I can't remember the name of the brewery. Is all.
Seven Islands Dark Arts. That's it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Too bad it's not Avery. That's the best damn brewery out there.
Avery's delicious. All right. Let's not get too far off topic now. All right. So back to diving into the schedule. You guys saw the thumbnail. You guys saw what's coming up this weekend. You guys saw, obviously, the Chargers are out. Dolphins are out. Chiefs got to take care of business against the Jaguars. And obviously the game of the weekend is Bills versus Bengals. That is without question the most important game of the weekend for, the NFL's sake. I'd put it that way. But so first, to put attention here towards the Chiefs and what we're walking into for our first playoff game of the year. And we've seen the Jaguars once before this year. Now, we're not seeing the same team we might have seen, 2.5 months ago, because this team has only lost one game in between the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs till now. So with that said, obviously they've been on a hot streak. They've been rolling. Trevor Lawrence is playing his best ball he's played in a long time, despite the fact he threw 4 interceptions last week against the Chargers, made a comeback win and scored, had a scoring drive the last 5 possessions in a row to end up winning that game, which was incredible to watch live. And anyone who out there who's followed football or knows the Chargers, we all saw that coming, right? I mean, there was a part of me that wanted to put a money line bet on the Jaguars at plus 1,400.
It's the third biggest comeback in NFL playoff history.
Right. And the sad thing is, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that kind of knew this was a possibility at the time.
That's the whole reason why you guys got my text of me wanting to brag about that big lead. But I was also telling you guys, I want to, but I'm not going to, because we all know what the Chargers like to do.
And right away when you said that, I said, nope. Looks like the Chargers won. The Jags lost.
Yeah, started doing
right away.
Little jinx.
And,
I didn't talk to you guys much during that game, but when I saw the score of 27-0, internally in my mind just kind of said, meh.
That's what I said.
Meh.
I was like, cool.
Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
The thing is, if you're watching that game live, as I did with my family, you felt the sense of, if you get one score here, there's always a chance. Next thing you know, it's back-to-back scores. Next thing you know, it's the craziest part is they finished -5 in turnovers. The Jaguars did. They didn't have a turnover themselves. They turned the ball over 5 times. They never once got a turnover of their own. No. They did all of this without getting a turnover. It's never happened in NFL history for a playoff team to go -5 in a game and then come back down 27. That's never happened in the history of the entire league in the playoffs, and probably maybe any game for that matter, ever.
Probably any game.
It's probably the first time ever in NFL history that's ever happened. And so my point is bringing that up even to begin with is that this Jaguars team's nothing to take for granted, nothing to be a joke of. This is going to be a team that presents a lot of options and a young, growing, maturing Trevor Lawrence on the field, because that guy has freaking made it an incredible improvement from year 1 to year 2, mainly thanks to a great coach of Doug Peterson.
I'm about to say Doug Peterson's the whole reason you don't fight through 5 turnovers like that. You don't fight from a horrible start like that without a great coach, a great atmosphere, and just great, just the balance of the team. So
right.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with
Right.
Urban Meyer.
Because if you give them Urban Meyer still sticking around for year 2, this team is looking at 3 wins. I mean, and we knew when Doug Peterson was hired on, this was the right choice for this team, and he went into the right spot too. Because
What a
he
turnaround.
saw, hey, this team has Trevor Lawrence. They got some young, good weapons to work with. Heck yeah, I'll join that franchise. He knew what he's capable of. We've seen him as a great coach, an admirable coach, the way he's turned out to be, and he takes parts of Andy Reid with him too as he goes too in his career.
Correct.
So, very much a big fan of Doug Peterson. But so now walking into this game here, Chiefs Jaguars, Mecole Hardman is a bit of a question mark at the moment. He missed practice yesterday and today. I'm guessing at this point he's not going to be playing in the game on Saturday at 3:30, and I don't know when we'll see him back again. He actually put out a tweet basically saying, "Hey, it's all about the marathon, not the sprint." And I also understand that. I get that. Let's not force an issue. Let's take care of whatever he's dealing with at the moment, because we've heard multiple different discussions about what he's dealing with. We've heard, abdominal issues. We've heard a hernia, maybe a groin issue, this and that. And we don't fully know what's wrong with Mecole Hardman at the moment. And also this makes an impact on his value going forward in the NFL too.
Yeah. Does he stay a Chief?
And does he stay a Chief? Because truthfully, the longer he stays out, the more likely he is probably to return, because his value is diminishing week by week. He hasn't played since week 9. That's something to take into account. But on the back end of this, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire back now, ready for action if needed. We have Jody Fortson, who is a great athletic tight end. He seems to be primed for the playoffs. So looking forward to those guys coming back to be a part of the team again.
But do you start Jody, though, on this Chiefs team? Because Blake Bell's back. Obviously, you start Bell, you start Kelsey, and you can't stop. You can't have Noah Gray be inactive.
No, because the way this thing works with this Chiefs team is it's all about packages. So obviously, Jody Fortson could be involved in certain packages that involve a receiving threat to be on the field. If it's a run blocking situation, it makes more sense for Blake Bell to be on the field. So it just depends on the personnel. But the great thing about having these 4 unique tight ends on the team at the same time, between Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, and Jody Fortson and Blake Bell, is that you can do multiple different things with these guys, even have them all in the same field at the same time, and make things happen. So because of that, and we've seen that before.
Yeah,
we've seen Andy Reid pull out some amazing tricks with these tight end personnel packages. So does he start or get a lot of playing time right away? Not necessarily, but there could be very much a few packages where he's involved. So
you don't believe he's inactive come this week? You think they find a way to activate 4 tight ends?
I think it's possible with this offense. I think it's possible with the way this thing's structured. I think it's very possible. I don't know necessarily who they would want to demote offensively, but take into account if Hardman's not on the field, I mean, that's one less receiver to want to activate.
We know Rojo's probably going back on the inactive list.
Right, but then you assume Clyde would be bumped up and active and so on. But
correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. But at the end of the day, on this situation, I'm primarily, and I'm not worried about the offense. I'm worried about defense taking care of business, because what happened, a few weeks ago when the Chiefs played the Jaguars before was, they did a great job defensively for a long time in that game, and then let them kind of claw back there towards the very end of that. I'd like to see them basically capitalize on the opportunities and be optimistic when it comes to forcing the turnovers on Lawrence, forcing the turnovers on ETN, possibly fumbling here and there, and capitalize on the situations, and then offense getting in a scoring position right away. We just haven't seen a whole lot of that this year with the Chiefs when it comes to creating a turnover, especially on the other team side of the field, to where now we're set up with Patrick Mahomes at the other team's 20-yard line. Like, that's just not happened throughout the year. It's kind of crazy to think about it that way. But so how are you guys feeling in general about this game going into it, though? The Jaguars are not a joke of a team by any means, but how do you guys feel? Do you feel confident about the Chiefs and just going into Andy Reid's, he had a bye week game plan?
Real quick before you answer here, Mr. Ryan Larison, always great to hear from you. He just wants to know, you guys think KC resigns Hardman next year, or do we let him walk?
I'm assuming he's going to be gone.
I'm assuming he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the value of him is diminishing. We could see easily a 2-3 year deal for good, team friendly money.
And Ryan, what I just said a minute ago was I think the longer he doesn't play this postseason, the more likelihood that is that he returns to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because his value to other teams is not as strong as his value is to the Chiefs offense because of the way he's used within this offense. He's not the greatest route runner at all. He's got okay hands. As a deep threat, I mean, yeah, he's fast as hell. But I think his biggest asset as a Chief is the things he can do behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And a lot of these jet sweeps, a lot of these crossing, just misdirection type of play calls. There's not too many other guys around the league that are that effective at what he does. And he was, keep in mind, originally drafted to be replacing Tyreek Hill. Clearly,
yeah.
not the same football player that Tyreek Hill is.
So Tufel says fade into obscurity like Albert Wilson. Ryan here says so many injuries, but we know he flashed at times. Definitely agree with you though. Casey seems to make whomever work out when necessary.
Hardman might be, if he goes to a new team, the next Tavon Austin is what I would say.
Interesting.
I would say he's a Tavon Austin potentially with a different team because a different team's going to want him to play wide receiver and kind of stick to playing outside. That doesn't work with Hardman. Hardman's successful because the offense he's in, and that's a big part of it. He's a probably better athlete than he is football player, but he is a great athlete. And when you can get him the ball in his hands, especially with blockers out in front of him, he can go 70, 60, anytime you need him to.
Hardman to the Bears confirmed. So what do you got?
He's first of all, Hardman is not coming back to the Chiefs, point blank. And the reason I say that is because what's the biggest thing? What's our greatest fact about Hardman? He can run fast, right? Well, guess what? There's a guy still in the NFL, like by the name of Marquise Goodwin. He can run fast. Marquise Goodwin hasn't done shit in the NFL. Right?
You know who we just signed on the practice squad, right?
Yeah.
John Ross.
Yeah. But these guys, they don't do shit in the NFL. Just because you're fast and you can do a lot on the track doesn't mean you're going to do shit on an NFL football field. And that's kind of the way I think about Mecole Hardman. And so I don't think they're going to bring him back because the Chiefs are looking for guys who are fast. Well, guess what? They can pull guys like that out of their ass. So we got Kadarius Toney. Yeah. Kadarius Toney is a fast player, but he's actually got some skills that he can bring to the table.
He's got football skills.
More skills.
He's a better wide receiver than Mecole Hardman is.
What about the offseason hype of Justin Ross, right? That's still to come too.
Well, I mean, he's going to be 25 years old because he's an overaged player.
Correct.
And also coming off all these injuries he's gone through in his career. Yeah, we'd love to see Justin Ross get an opportunity in the NFL, but at the same time, we should not be putting any type of hope or cling to a guy who's been injury prone forever and to expecting him to be productive next year.
Yeah. My point is that just for this one game, because I don't care about going forward. I'm talking about the Jags game. We have enough weapons on this team that we shouldn't care too much about Mecole Hardman for this one game. Kadarius Toney, Juju, we got MVS, Noah Gray, Kelsey. My personal favorite, this season, Jerick McKinnon. We have a ton of weapons. We don't need to worry about Mecole Hardman. Okay? So my keys to this one game is we got it for the defense. You got to get to the quarterback. All right. And that's something that the Chiefs have done a lot better job of this year than they have in previous years, is getting to the quarterback. And I think that's one way that they can impact the game on the defensive side of the ball, is just get to Trevor Lawrence and just make him make some mistakes. And then on the offensive side, we got to protect the ball. I've been harping on this stuff for weeks. As long as the Chiefs protect the ball and don't do anything stupid, like this is an easy game, guys. Like, let's not overthink it. The Chiefs are probably going to cover the spread, and this should be an easy game. But we got to get back down to the basics. All right. So get to the quarterback, take care of the ball on the offensive side of the ball. It really is that easy for me.
All right.
The only concern with Hardman is going to be the red zone stats of things, which we've struggled in as a Chiefs team, a Chiefs offense, right? And I mean, he was 6 for 8 with the red zone for 6 receptions off of 8 targets, 4 touchdowns in the receiving aspect, 1 touchdown in the rushing aspect of things. He provided points. He provided a weapon into play, and I think that's something we've been missing since week 9, since Hardman went down. So Hardman to me he is a red zone target.
I'll put it this way: Hardman is a luxury, not a necessity. It is nice to have him a part of the offense and available to be a part of the offense. And yes, he's really good at those jet sweeps and a great job misdirection behind the line of scrimmage and this kind of thing pre-snap, because he does draw attention, at least because of that speed. But it's not something that's irreplaceable. It's not something that MVP Patrick Mahomes can't work around. We've seen that, since week 9 going forward.
No,
this is not that big of a deal.
When did Tony come in? Was that
Tony's? Well, his first touchdown as a Chief, I believe, was against the Jaguars. Actually,
it was against the Jaguars.
It was the Jaguars.
It
game.
was the Jaguars game because he made that great comeback. Like he came back and athletic catch on the sideline.
He was wide open and then hopped his way into the end zone on that one.
The thing about Kadarius Toney is, though, like the way I think about him is like it feels like they brought him in off the street because the Giants weren't using him at all. Like he wasn't playing football when they brought him in, and then automatically they were bringing him in to run some of those same plays that McCole Hardman was running.
Right.
So it's like, you don't need Hardman. Tony can do all of the same things that Hardman can do, but better. And he can run routes.
Yeah. So real quick here, I got an interesting comment to get to here. Larson says the next overpaid New York Giant for Hardman. I said that beginning of the season, but that's just me. Mr. Jeremy, Smoking Jeremy B, guys. Good evening, buffoons. He thinks the Chiefs will win by 10. And Jeremy, always love your comments. Appreciate you, man. And Tufel with an interesting comment here, guys. Do they let Hardman walk in favor of trading for DeAndre Hopkins?
I mean, do let him.
I think Hopkins is a far dream
in favor of trading for Hopkins. So I think there's a great chance Hardman does just straight up walk. Obviously, he's a free agent here at the end of this year, and he's going to be taking the most money he can get. And I don't blame him for doing that.
Do it.
I get it. The guy should capitalize on the numbers he's put up through a exquisite offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I would too. I get it. He might go to a team who just has a ton of money laying around, who's going to be, 6-11 next year. Maybe the Bears. I don't know. But yeah, I get he should probably walk and take the money somewhere else that's going to pay him whatever the hell he's won. Probably $11 million a year, I would bet. That's just something the Chiefs are not going to do.
Correct.
As far as Hopkins goes, it's a fun idea to throw around, I guess. I'd be really surprised if he.
I feel like this Hopkins thing is really far fetched, right? Chiefs Twitter, in a way, Chiefs Nation is trying to make it out to be something that we can do. I don't think we do it. I don't think the Chiefs after this year sit here and say we need that elite number 1 receiver, or else we're not going to win games.
But here's one thing that I learned from Mike many years ago, and it's don't get caught up in big names. DeAndre Hopkins is a big name in the NFL who is also over the hill in terms of a wide receiver. Now, he might give you a decent production for a year, but it's not a guy that you're going to bring in for a long-term deal because the guy is just not like his best is far behind him. And I don't think that you're going to see DeAndre Hopkins.
D-Hop's going to be D-Hop for another.
And the Chiefs know that if we want to improve the wide receiver core, it's going to come through the draft. We're not going to go out and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who's over the hill.
No, it's not even about the age. DeAndre Hopkins is 30 years old. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the fact he misses a lot of games. And, we already have a receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster who we all know misses a lot of games.
Yeah.
We love Juju Smith-Schuster here in Kansas City. So those of you listening who are not from here, just so you know, we enjoy watching him play when he's playing. We've enjoyed him as a Chief so far to this point. He was short of 1,000 yards because he did miss time. He's got concussion issues, and he has been injury prone throughout his. What are you laughing about, Tater?
I'll tell you in a minute.
And Hopkins is one of those guys throughout the last few years of his career. Basically since his Houston Texans days, has been missing a lot of
last
games.
year of
He's
Houston.
he's
A lot
5
of
years
games.
older. He's 5
Right.
years older than Juju.
Right. I
Like-
don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with that problem. Because Sammy Watkins was the guy who, really good player, but always injured, and it was frustrating. If the Chiefs won the Super Bowl this year, there was no reason to even think about trying to go for a guy like Hopkins because let's try to get Juju back on a friendly deal and go from there. Maybe try to find an upgrade for Marquez Valdes-Scantling because he's a deep threat, and that's about it.
Yeah, and you can get $7 million saved right there if you cut him. Ryan Larison, real quick, says those hamstring injuries healed real quick when he became a Chief. Talking about
Tony.
Kadarius Toney.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. He says that, but literally he played one game and then
he got hurt.
was injured
Out
after that for a couple weeks or
2-3, yeah.
whatever it was. So yeah, I mean that part's true.
But... Twofold here. If not Hopkins, can we get Lamar Jackson to back up McKinnon? That's so bad.
Ooh, Lamar to back
He
up
had, he
McKinnon.
had a little Nicolas Cage after that little emoji there.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you who this Facebook user is, guys. Okay, Michael, no. But this Facebook user asked, "Can you ask Mike to tell me who's going to win each playoff game and assign confidence points, please?" Asking for a friend.
Oh, so he wants to bet. This guy's looking to make. He wants to make big dick money on this show right here, right now.
He wants to
Well-
assign 100 confidence points to your freaking hat. So,
Yeah. So we're about the confidence points, you say? All right. We'll have to do that here in a few minutes. So we'll dive into that here in just a moment.
Okay,
So,
I'm done with comments for now. So
anyways, I
appreciate everybody.
we'll do our picks here in just a moment. Obviously, you heard some of our takes, especially offensively about the Chiefs. Defensively, as I talked about, it's about the turnovers and getting pressure on Trevor Lawrence early on, and George Karlaftis building off of a great second half of the season, and so forth. Really, it's just about the Chiefs playing their style of football. And Jason, as you know, and you love to harp on the Steve Spagnuolo playoff defense, one of your favorite things to talk about. So I think we'll see a little bit of that coming up. A little more of the exotic defense that we see.
So
sometimes.
where's your meter on Karlaftis now? 'Cause
My
you
confidence
used to-
points for
You used to
Karlaftis?
hate
Yeah, what's your
Karlaftis. Now,
confidence?
is it like a 1/3 chub, or is it a half chub, or is it like 60%
Well,
chub? Where are you at on Karlaftis?
I would give Karlaftis at this moment a quarter chub because
A
before,
quarter chub.
well,
Wow.
you got to understand beforehand it was
we were
going.
at 10% chub.
It was
Now we're
going.
at
It
quarter
was going
chub.
back inwards. It was going back inside my body. There was no chub whatsoever. There was no chub, so it was like going out to the ice
But
rink. And
the
then
thing I will say about
diving
that,
into it.
the great thing about that is if you have a quarter chub, it's got potential. So you're admitting right now that you do believe he has
a
potential.
little more blood flow, and you might see a half chub.
Okay,
So,
that gives me hope.
which means
That gives me hope for the Greek
I,
freak.
I'm no longer in the ice bath on
Well,
Mr. Karlaftis.
twofold. I know you're in the chat here. What was the name you called him? George Karlaftis. What was his nickname from last week? Put it in the chat here because I can't remember what it was. But it wasn't the Greek freak. It was something different.
Oh yeah, some corny name.
I gotta. Oh, there he is. Furious George.
Furious George.
that
that was literally my dad's fantasy football nickname
It was,
for his team.
and he
So that's,
finished.
that's
last
why I
place.
couldn't help but roll my eyes.
But
at
you
the
know
whole
what
thing.
happens with these guys is if you make fun of them with these stupid names long enough, they get pissed off and they hear what you're saying about them and they play
Right.
better. They do play
Well,
better.
why do you think Ryan Suckup turned out so good? Because he was Ryan Fuckup for, And if you have a name like that, you can't suck. I mean, you have to be good. Otherwise, you're in big trouble for life.
So the fact that you talked shit on Karlaftis for so long, that's what's causing him to play better. He listens to this show and he's getting pissed.
Hey, whatever motivates him, man. I just know he was just not the guy I wanted in the draft. And, he's done better than towards the back half, at least, of the season, better than I expected.
Is he doing better than Mr. Irrelevant, though? That's the big question.
No, because we need to talk about that next, actually. So,
Let me finish up some comments and we'll hop into some more games here.
all right.
Twofold here says bet the Giants for the big swing, most likely. Beyond that, he's probably unsure. Add a kid from Mr. Facebook user. Jeremy, my confidence in my four picks is Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, 49ers, 1,100% confident. This is a conference champion matchup. And then Twofold for this final comment here before we move on. Twofold says Chris Jones goes seeking out haters on Twitter. liking the comments. Then he tears up opposing guards like they looked at his sister Ron the following week. I
Hey,
like that.
hey, Chris Jones is the man. He's the monster out there. Can't help but love that guy. He's somebody we need to keep here for another 5 years, by the way, too. So let's make that a priority here in Kansas City. Brett Veach, he knows what to do. He knows what we need to take care of. So
All right, so let's bring up back the scoring schedule, the tree, as I call it, for the playoffs. So go ahead, Mike.
Well, okay. What we're gonna do is kind of run down each game real quick. Obviously, we kind of sat there for a minute about the Chiefs Jaguars game, but let's dive in now to the other AFC game before we jump to the NFC. So Bengals and Bills now facing off in what is the matchup of the weekend? Of course, makes the most sense. Do you guys find it interesting at all that the Bengals didn't get this to be a neutral site game because they feel like they could have had the 1 seed themselves if not for what happened to.
Well, they would have had a 2 seed, right? Because the Chiefs won out. The Chiefs won their game they needed to.
But they going into it assumed, we could have had the 1 seed.
Well, yeah. I mean, hoping for a Chiefs loss, right? A slip up.
Right. But I'm saying everything was put into place before week 18 occurred.
Correct.
So, anyways, guys, so looking at this matchup, we saw 2 amazing games really saw the Bills taking on the Dolphins against Skylar Thompson, in which case they nearly came back and took care of business and got the W. It was scary close if you're a Bills fan. And then on the other side, you had another divisional game with the Bengals going off against the Ravens. Once again, backup quarterback situation, and that came down to the very much wire as well. So looking at what we saw this past weekend, how do you guys feel about them going face-to-face now?
I want to know, Jason, were you sweating it out? Because your easy money bet was like putting $2,000 down to win a little bit of money
on the Bills.
There, were you sweating it out a little bit?
I did. I did put up a sweat because I realized at the moment that I had advised millions upon millions of Americans to put $8,000 down just to win $1,000. So yes, I did have that in the back of my mind, but I was very happy that I prevailed.
Correct.
I prevailed.
Me too. For everybody.
At the end of the day, they made their money. Right?
They made their fucking money. And that's the name of the game on this show. Like,
it can be scary, it can be nail biting, but they made their money. So
we give you guys the best advice that we can possibly give you. We do all the research, and nobody's going to win 100% of their pick, but if we can get 55 to 60%, hey, that's what it's all about. Making Americans more money.
I'd like to meet a sports bettor who had a better record than me this year on the money lines or on the spreads. Excuse me.
On spreads? Gotcha.
Yeah. I nailed him this year, Tanner. I nailed him. If you bet $1,000 on every game, you would come out with $10,000
I'm back
by
to
the end of this year.
No, I think I'm back to 500.
I didn't write it all down, but you would have been back to 500.
I would have been back to 500.
All right, back to the point.
I didn't write it down.
So how do you guys feel? So obviously Joe Burrow has talked recently in the media just about how the fact that the window is him. And I love that comment because I felt that same way about Patrick Mahomes since the time we drafted him. When he was asked about, the window of the team and this and that. It's like, first of all, why are you asking that shit? Because they're all young and, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, they're going to be together, for still a good chunk of time, I would assume. And there really is no window when you have a franchise quarterback. And Joe Burrow said that to the media. He goes, I am the window. Reminds me of Breaking Bad when he goes, I am the one who knocks. And Joe Burrow is just like, no, I'm going to be here every damn postseason for the next 10, 15 years. And that's the same thing for Patrick Mahomes. So now looking at this situation going against the Buffalo Bills, they're finally going to play a full game, we assume. Is it an interesting matchup regarding going against Josh Allen, who has a 4-3 record in the month of January, yet we call him Mr. January? I think there's a lot of confusion going on with people because how can Mr. January be 4-3 and never have gone to a game in February?
The exact same way that LeBron James can be the GOAT and be 4-6 in the finals.
Well, that's a good point.
Simple answer.
That's a good comparison right there. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow, he takes care of business from his time so far in the playoffs. So, Tanner, tell me more about what you think.
I don't understand why. I understand why the Bills-Bengals matchup is so big, but I understand why it's so favored in the Bills side still. Josh Allen, like you said, struggles in the playoffs against good teams. Chiefs, what, 2-3 times now in a row.
It's been 2 in a row.
Okay, they have yet to surpass the Chiefs. You know what makes sense of trying to surpass a team that's beating the Chiefs 3 times in a row this year, and a team that has by far had one of the hardest schedules just to get to the damn playoffs, and they end up making the playoffs as a 3 seed. Should have been a 2 seed, as a 3 seed, and there's no sense in this. I don't see how Cincy loses this game. They're a better team in general, overall, better than Buffalo by far.
I mean, we just saw the Bills. Just their defense was atrocious against a 3rd string, 7th round quarterback.
Josh Allen is trying to make
Thompson.
plays for no reason down deep for whatever reason. I don't understand Josh Allen's indication of trying to make the big money play when you're up. What was it, 21-7 or 21-10, and then throw a pick to Xavier Howard, and then continue on to throw another pick with right after that. I don't understand why you're trying to make the big plays. Go out there, manage the football game. Is it coaching? Is it Josh Allen? Is it the play? Is it Ken Dorsey up there?
This feels like coaching to me in a lot of ways. And I think also having still, once again, a lack of a true running game outside of himself. I think that's been a little bit of a problem over the past few years. Of course, they added James Cook. I do like what he has.
I love looking at James Cook. I mean, Singletary's coming to his own too. Like, luckily, it's finally surpassed that Zach Moss combo train they were trying to do the last couple of years. But here's the thing, right? I would tell you guys right now, I am one of the biggest Cincinnati Bengals haters. Okay, Joe Burrow, I could care less about. But damn it, you got to give respect when respect's due. Okay, and this team, Cincinnati team, deserves some respect here after that grueling schedule they had, after the start they had, and they came back the way they did.
Well,
there's no way.
One thing I want to say, I think that defensively, we've always had this idea that Buffalo has this, top 5 defense. The truth is, right now, is the way the NFL is, the Bengals have the better defense between the two teams and the way that they're playing and the talent they have and the playmakers they have. We saw Buffalo walk out of that game against the Dolphins having multiple injuries on defense and multiple guys beat up. I'm not sure of the status right now of Kyrie Elam. I'd like to look into that here in a minute. But I think we saw them get beat up a little bit throughout that game, and I think the Bengals defense is better and more relentless than what the Bills currently have health wise. So to me, it's like, hey, you got Burrow, you got great weapons over there, decent running game, and then over here with the Bills, it's like you got Josh Allen trying to take care of business by himself. Sorry, but your weapons don't match up to what the Bengals can offer.
Elam's not on the injury report.
He's not okay.
He's not on the injury report.
Gotcha.
If you guys look at it too, comparison wise, we talk about the Bills being such a great defense. They're second against points against per game in defense. Total yards against per game is 6, and then the yards, passing yards, 15th on defense and 5th on rushing. But it doesn't seem to matter for this team, does it? Like, it doesn't matter how great you are if you can't execute on offense. I think the offensive side for this team is the downfall. It's not the defense; it's the offense. The offense continues to turn the ball over. The offense continues to cause issues for this Bills team.
All right.
So my thing on this game is like Cincinnati is the better team, and I feel like the majority of people know that Cincinnati is the better team. But as we know in the NFL, it's not like the NBA. NBA, the best team always wins a 7-game series. That's not how it works in the NFL. And so while I do believe that Cincinnati's a better team, and as a Chiefs fan, quite honestly, I don't know what you guys' preference is. I would rather face Cincinnati because I feel like we have a lot to prove against them. And I would love to see us play them at Arrowhead again so we can beat the shit out of them.
I would love it.
But I'm not going to bet on this game, okay? I don't trust anything. There are a couple things going on here. Number one, you got the DeMar Hamlin story, okay? So he's going to lead this team onto the field, presumably, because he is back at the facility. He's at the facility every single day. So you've got the inspirational aspect here. Number two, you got the fact that the NFL has put this neutral field thing out there. And as much as most fans want nothing to do with that, I do believe that the NFL would love to see that neutral field scenario play out for the first time. And then, to a little bit lesser factor, it was 7-3 when that game ended. So the Bengals were winning that game. So you do have a little bit of a revenge factor, I think, in terms of the Bills. And so I just think this is one of those weird game, guys. I don't trust it. And I feel like this is one of those games. I'm not going to bet it at all, but I do believe that the Bills are going to win this game.
Well, I want to point out real quick.
Yeah,
That's
go
why
ahead.
I said earlier at the beginning of the show, Carl Sheffers is refereeing this game. The NFL
Of course.
appointed Carl Sheffers to this game for a reason. They know he is one of the most sensitive officials in the entire
gosh.
NFL. And when it comes to, making judgment calls that are very subjective, ticky-tack here and there, let me control the outcome of a game, they know he can be the Vince McMahon of the NFL, essentially, and dictate and control the exact outcome the NFL wants to have happen. And if your theory is correct about wanting to have the Cinderella story of this great thing for the Bills and, to ride behind and support for DeMar Hamlin, and if you think that's the storyline they want to roll with, well, they have the perfect referee to make it happen. So
it's a wonderful storyline. And like, even if they win this game, dude, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. Okay. So like this is going to be the end of the road. If they somehow win this game, like the Chiefs will probably destroy them or whatever. But just the fact, if they can figure out a way to win this one game, I mean, this is one of the most amazing storylines of all time. They'll make a movie out of this. Okay. Even if the Bills get destroyed by the Chiefs the following week, they might make a movie out of this thing because it's an amazing storyline of the comeback. And it's all about
30.
It's all about this one game. No, exactly. 30 for 30.
30 for 30.
One game for your life. And this is the rematch. And what's going to happen in this one game? And the Bills are going to use, I mean, there are going to be so many emotions pouring out from the Bills players in this game that they're not going to have any more emotions to spend on the following game if they win. And so I think this will be the end of the road, but I do believe that the Bills will win this game and that the NFL will find a way to make sure that they win this game. Taking nothing away from the Bengals, because I already told you they're the better team, okay? But as we all know, the NFL, the best team does not always win in the playoffs.
Look, I got one stat for you that the Bengals do surpass the Bills on by far, by over 16 spots. And Smoking Jeremy B, we did our Thursday night show, Mad New York or Carlos. The one thing I harped on each Thursday night game, time of possession per game. The Bengals are the second longest time of possession in the NFL, 32 minutes, 15 seconds. The Bills, 18th at 29:55. What do? You keep that defense of the Bills on the field as long as possible, tire them out early. That's what Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense does. They run the ball with Perrine and Mixon. They make the short yardage. Burrow will take his sacks. He'll, whatever. He's already claimed that he gets hit, it gets hit. The Bengals keep the Bills team off, that Bills offense off the field. And even then, even if that's not the case, they said the Bills offense is on the field, shut them down.
They selected a quarterback.
I firmly believe that the Cincinnati Bengals have a better coach than the Buffalo Bills right now. It's just,
well,
you're going to win with offense. It's not going, we're not talking about the old days where defense wins championships. It's all about offense and who can put up the most points in today's game.
There was
just
a random guy that somehow popped on our StreamYard for 3 seconds.
You'd be throwing that link out there everywhere in like an OnlyFans account. People are going to be joining, man.
Did we just?
I think StreamYard just got hacked.
Something got hacked. I don't know. Hey, so
that was weird.
We got hacked by a country that I'm not going to say.
He probably, I know what it is. He saw the thumbnail with a lady on there and got really excited, and he was like, "Oh my god, I got to click this video."
I think I know who it was.
I've never seen a woman before. So speaking of the thumbnail, guys, it's set up there at the title. Pick your poison, right?
Yeah,
pick your poison. So us as Chiefs fans, assuming things go in our favor, I want to know who you would most like to play next weekend, going into AFC Championship weekend.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first since I kind of gave it away. I mean, I want the Bengals because if we end up playing let's just say we win the Super Bowl, but we play the Bills next week, you're still going to have all these fucking naysayers saying, yeah, but you're 0-3 against the Bengals. So what did you didn't prove anything in the AFC, even if we win the championship. And so, for me, the buck stops with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I want the Chiefs to prove themselves by beating this team that we haven't been able to beat the last 3 times. And so it's all about, beating, like I just said, the Bengals are the best team right now, in my opinion. They're the best team. And so as a Chiefs fan, I want to be able to say that, you know what, we beat the best team in order to get to the Super Bowl, as opposed to beating the Bills, which we've already proven we can do that, last year and whatever. I want the best team in front of us. I want us to be battle tested when we go to the Super Bowl and face, no names mentioned, the 49ers. I want to be battle tested. I want to play the best team, and I want us to prove ourselves. And so the Bengals what do they have left to prove? They've beaten the Chiefs. They're 3-0 against the Chiefs last year.
No, exactly. At this point, their prove is, hey, we know we can beat the Chiefs. Now let's go win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Cooper Kupp is out for the season, doesn't play for the Rams, who are not even in the playoff. He just plays for the Rams, but not in the playoffs. And at this point now, they have to prove Burrow can win a ring. And dude, as much as I enjoy watching Burrow play quarterback from time to time, nothing would hurt me more than watching him win a Super Bowl, because that motherfucker's so cocky as it is right now. Just watching the whole parade of not just Cincinnati, but him after winning a Super Bowl, which he probably will win one day.
Someday.
I don't want to see that excitement yet. I'm not ready for the Bengals and Joe Burrow's cocky excitement yet. I'm not in that mood for seeing that happen yet. Hey, if once Patrick has 2, then we can have a discussion about letting Burrow have 1.
I think as it stands right now, Joe Burrow is a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. I put him ahead of Josh Allen because Josh Allen never made it to the Super Bowl. And I think that a lot of it hinges on what happens in this game. But, Joe Burrow has already beaten Mahomes 3 times. I mean, to me, he's the second best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, no. I want the Bengals, because I want, if we're going to beat this curse of the Bengals for whatever it is, let's do it in the AFC title game. Let's not do it in a random season game, right? I want to prove a point like, hey, just you got lucky this last few games. Let's take care of business this game, right? It's a meaningful game and everything like that. So I want the Bengals.
I like the Bengals as well. I'd love to see them come to Kansas City as well, because obviously if we play the Bills, we got to go down to Atlanta, where people are paying $1,500 freaking dollars for a ticket.
Oh, it's insane.
I'd much rather just have a good old Bengals come on over to Arrowhead AFC Championship game. That way, when things go right our way, we can keep that Lamar Hunt trophy in Kansas City and not win it in some stupid place like Atlanta. So that's the way I feel about that. So all 3 of us are on the Bengals to win.
The Bengals train. Yep. All right, let's hit some comments here up before we continue on. By the way, talking about Chris Jones, Tufel says, ever since his chunk fell out at the combine, I knew we had a winner.
Anchor Dick Jones. I've been calling him that since day one. Anchor Dick Jones, because that thing fell out. It was so damn heavy that it brought him to the ground. He didn't fall on his own. It took him to the ground.
That's right. So regards on our sports betting too. He goes, what about reported gains on tax forms? Can you guys help with that?
Well, look, we're getting near tax season. I get it. We're gonna save that topic for a different show. I'll put it that way. We don't have enough time to discuss.
So here's the thing. I will throw this out there. If you guys are like myself, you spend a lot of time in the casinos. There are things that you can do in terms of a win-loss statement. And I'm going to leave it at that.
You're saying the truth.
I am not your tax attorney. I'm not an attorney. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Call your lawyer, whatever. I'm just saying there are things that you can do in terms of a win-loss statement at the casino.
It's January 18th. Let's keep that question in our back pocket. We'll talk about that at a later day. Sometime in the next
call your lawyers
weeks. In the next few weeks.
Yeah. Smoking Jeremy B says, I am the podcaster version of Walter White. That's a fair good. Mr. AC says, Tanner speaking truth when we were talking about the Bengals. Appreciate you, AC. Jeremy says Tanner D ranked the QB play the last week, worst to first from the 6 winners. From the 6 winners. Let's
take that question and roll it into
the next one here.
Yeah.
Hey, let's finish up here. Comments.
Okay,
so we'll remember that question coming into
Okay.
play. At home, the Bills circled the wagons to win better than everyone else, spoke to Jeremy B. And he also says Burrow and company are the slowest to the line. They use almost every second before you set. They really do. Twofold here says, I was trying to get famous with you. Was that really you, Twofold? Hopping on randomly like that? Let me know, because if so, my bad. I didn't know who it was. I was very confused. Jeremy B says they use 24 seconds an average per snap, which is the Bengals, talking about that. And he asked who was hopping in. Looked like a meth head version of TJ Droppinson.
Smoking
Mr. AC says, are we doing the thing where we are looking too far ahead and not addressing the team in front of us? Felt like this happened last year. Well, no, we did. So I feel like we did address it on this earlier in the show, AC. Talking about the Jags. I feel like this Chiefs team is ready for the Jags. I don't think they're looking forward to who's going to win that Bengals-Bills matchup.
No, once we get to the playoffs, I mean, you truly have to focus on the team in front of you. There is no time to worry about looking ahead, because looking ahead is no matter what people want to say, is a real thing. I don't care what people want to say about it. It happens, and especially when you're playing a weaker opponent before playing a big game the following week. People are people at the end of the day. You can have teams, you can have ideas, you can have things you believe in. At the end of the day, we're humans, we're people. People do this. People make that choice, and they can't help it. It's an instinct.
It's what as bettors call situational handicap. Twofold says it really wasn't me. I have no idea what servers you use or otherwise. Okay, yeah, it's just kind of weird there. So, but we should be clear. He tried to hop in again, but I denied him. So
I think it's definitely a thing when you're talking about like the Chiefs offense. You know, they put up so many points over the year. It's easy to look ahead, but in terms of the Chiefs defense, like they really haven't proven a whole lot in terms of the amount of points that they've given up. So I think in terms of the Chiefs defense, they have a lot to prove, and they are going to look at exactly what's in front of them. They're not going to look past this game because they have a lot to prove versus this Jacksonville team.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
all right.
Shall we continue?
Yes, let's go over to the NFC for a few minutes, guys, because I know we dug very deep, obviously, in the Chiefs
and the AFC
and stuff like that. So let's at least give the NFC a little bit of love.
Which matchup would you guys like to look first?
Now, let's kick it off first with the Eagles and Giants to get that one out of the way. So, guys, I want to say first and foremost, I was flat out wrong about the Giants this year. And I was not a believer in Daniel Jones. I thought they should have given up on him. I never once thought he would find a way to become a productive quarterback, especially with the former Chiefs offensive coordinator being a head coach over there for the Giants. Those of you who don't know about that. But it's been a cool thing to watch and witness that. And also the fact that, hey, they didn't keep Kadarius Toney. I mean, you're working with, a team who maybe doesn't have the most talent offensively to make you a successful team. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's had a good year, and that's been awesome for them for this year. But I just want to say they made it to the NFC divisional round as a 6th seed, and I want to say I was wrong about the Giants. They are better than I thought they were, and they shocked me. And now going against the Eagles at this point, I feel like you're playing the better team. So kudos to the Giants for what they did, but the Eagles are, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC. So I think it's going to be tough for them to overcome that. I think the Eagles just have too much going on, too much talent on offensively, especially in the receiving room, too much talent. And Jalen Hurts is a dual threat quarterback that just can get things done any way he feels the need to, basically, and he's efficient. So I like the Eagles, of course, guys. I know, Tanner, you're a big Daniel Jones fan maybe these days, but tell me how you feel.
Look, it's actually, I think, a more interesting matchup in this game than it probably should be from just a betting aspect here. I can see the Giants pull away here because the rushing defense for the Eagles is pretty average, 15th, 16th in the league in this part. But the Eagles are also really banged up, right? Hurts is coming off that injury. You looked really rough against the Giants third string, right, on that last game of the season. Looked really rough. The whole team looked really rough the last 5 games of the season coming into play here. And I can see the Giants really upset this team here against the Eagles here. I'm going to go, if I had to pick just a straight money line here, I would pick the Eagles to win this game here. But I would not be surprised if we're here talking the Giants next week.
Be crazy. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm not going to give you my pick right now. I'm going to save that for the easy money segment, which I know all of you look forward to. It's a divisional game, guys. And so I just don't feel like Jalen Hurts is right. He doesn't look right now. I think the team could potentially come out rusty in this game. And so I do give the Giants a chance in this game. Philly is favored by 7.5, but when you have these divisional games, this is why I really wanted the Chargers to win that game against Jacksonville. I really wanted to see a tough divisional matchup, Chiefs Chargers in the playoffs, because this is what you end up with. You end up with 2 teams that, you look at Philly. Yeah, they're a much better roster than the Giants. But when you end up with these divisional matchups in the playoffs, you end up with 2 teams that know each other very, very well. They know all of your strengths. They know all of your weaknesses. They know how to exploit all of your weaknesses much more than, if you were playing like any other team in the league. And so a divisional matchup like this, it makes a difference to me. And, Philly is obviously the better team, but I already told you guys, I think Cincinnati is the better team over Buffalo. I don't think Cincinnati is going to win that game. So I do give the Giants a puncher's chance in this game.
Dabble, the Giants team got the energy going on to play. Daniel Jones looking really good. Saquon Barkley's looking good. Isaiah Hodgins, a difference
like
maker.
You said about Mike's trying to say that you're giving Daniel Jones all this credit. It has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. It has to do with Brian Dable.
The way he's turned
you guys probably don't remember. I mean, people thought that Josh Allen was shit.
Yeah.
In this league before Brian Dable fixed him. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, he's going to turn Daniel Jones into Josh Allen. I would never say that, but you can take a mediocre player and make him better if you're a good coach like Brian Dable. So who knows what's going to happen in this game?
I'm just amazed Brian Dable ended up being a good head coach. Like, as a Chiefs fan watching the crap he was a part of back in the old days, I'm just amazed by it. So that's all.
We can give Dable all the credit we want, but you got to remember too, the situation he walked into on this Giants team. Okay, Jones contract year, Saquon contract year, bunch of other guys contracts year. They're playing to get paid. Okay, you got to remember this too. As much as I love this Giants team, I picked them multiple times. You got to remember too, they're playing to get played. Next year's gonna be Dable's test.
That's fine, but they were also coached by Joe Judge last year.
Correct.
And it was an absolute dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire unlike I've ever seen before in my life. Well, save Urban Meyer.
Are you saying
Urban Meyer was
I was about
worse.
to say
the Giants are this year's Jaguars as well?
I mean, there were 2 dumpster fires we had last year.
Urban Meyer was the only guy to make Joe Judge look good.
I'm just saying,
okay.
Doug Peterson and Brian Dable, they should share. They should both share the coach of the year.
Big time.
Because they fixed both of those fucking teams.
For now.
All right. Going forward, we have Cowboys and 49ers now. Right up. This is going to be a hell of a matchup, mainly because the absolute incredible play of the Mr. Relevant Brock Purdy going down the stretch and doing all the things that Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance wish they could have done as far as efficiency and not turning the ball over. This has been a great story to watch unfold, and we're possibly witnessing another great, late round draft pick quarterback in the making put a name for himself. We're watching something like that kind of unfold before our eyes. Now, the great thing for his sake is that he fell into a perfect situation. That's something we talked about a little bit last week. When you have playmakers like a George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel, and a really good running game too to go along with it. I mean, and a great head coach. I mean, good defense. That's a lot to work with. I mean, that's a lot for you to not fail. Um, it's a complete team in a lot of ways. It really is. And you're facing off against the Cowboys here, who feel very hot and cold in a lot of different ways. We've seen Dak Prescott put up this past weekend one of his better performances of his career, I would say, efficiency wise against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But of course, the Buccaneers offense was atrocious, and you kept getting the ball with, somewhat decent field positioning and lots of opportunities. So when you have lots of opportunities, the more opportunities you have on offense, the more likely you are to be able to put up points and score. So going into this game here at San Fran, how you guys feeling about this? I mean, do you believe in Brock Purdy to be legit? Has he solidified himself as a legitimate quarterback in this league as a QB1 to be witnessed going forward even after this year? And do they get the win?
I don't think it's as much about Brock Purdy as it is the coaching matchup here. And so I just don't believe in Mike McCarthy here as much as I do Kyle Shanahan. I know that Mike McCarthy has won a Super Bowl like 100 years ago. That's great. Congratulations. But Kyle Shanahan is here, right now. He has a better roster than the Cowboys. And it's like I always go back to, I don't trust the Cowboys. I don't trust Dak to play 2 games in a row like that. And I'm not saying that the Buccaneers were bad, but they did have a fucking losing record, right? So, I mean, there is a pretty shitty record that they had in a shitty division. And so I do give Dallas credit for that win against the Bucs, but I mean, this is just a different animal. When you go up to play the 49ers. I mean, and I just think that they're celebrating too much. I mean, Jerry Jones, the owner, those guys are celebrating like they just won the damn Super Bowl. I mean, you guys didn't do shit. Like, you were supposed to win that game. Like, are you really prepared for this game? And I mean, I believe in Dak if he has a running game. Well, guess what? Of course he had a fucking running game, against that last team that he played. But they're not going to be able to run the ball against the Niners. And if you can't run the ball, then Dak's not going to be able to do what he did in the last game. And so if they can't establish the running game against the Niners, which they won't, Dak is going to start to look like normal Dak, not the better version of Dak like we saw last week. So they're just overmatched all the way around. I do like Dak as a quarterback, but Brock Purdy, to me, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's like, dude, he's just like Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Didn't Jimmy Garoppolo go 9-0 in his first 9 starts in the league or some shit like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
but did you look like this? No.
Doesn't matter.
No,
he didn't have to. I mean, if you're in a good organization with a good coach, you don't really have to do that much. I mean, Brock Purdy is going to have maybe next year to prove himself. He doesn't have to do shit this year because he has an amazing roster, an amazing coach. He's playing with house money. I mean, all you have to do is go out and beat the Cowboys. It doesn't really matter what happens after that. You don't have to win a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. Just, but it's just, I don't know. These teams are just, they're just different to me. I mean, I think the Cowboys are overmatched. And, it's just, for me, the Niners are going to win. They're probably going to cover. I mean, what is it, -3.5? To me, the Niners is just, this should be the most lopsided game for me personally. Out of all 4 games, it should be the most lopsided.
All right.
Look, Cowboys, I've been saying it since the game Monday night. Cowboys have the potential to play like a 1 seed, and they also have the ability to play like a 7 seed. Okay. This team is so inconsistent. 49ers, guess what? If Purdy wasn't there, I'd be saying the same damn thing. Inconsistent, right? I said it right after the Chiefs win. We were talking about the offense on one show about 49ers. Jimmy G was quarterback. And you mentioned something about them, possibly blowing out a game. And I'm like, how do you bet the consistent team, right? An inconsistent team like that. Purdy has made this team consistent. Purdy has helped this team's offense flow what it should have been back in with Jimmy G. So I like the 49ers for sure as a matchup here. Defense is better. I could see Dak struggling. I could see with the pressure. The offensive line's banged up for Dallas still. They're still not using Pollard and Zeke correctly in the scheme. It's very unfortunate for that. But I think it's time to come back to reality. It's time for Dallas to play average and not the 1 seed that they look like Monday night.
And I can't emphasize this enough. If the 49ers stop the run,
It's
Cowboys
over.
have nothing.
So
It's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that Purdy is legitimate in this league to a degree, because I think you put him on any other team in this league, and it's not going to be this easy and this simple. And I think that the coaching job that Shanahan's done is absolutely phenomenal towards getting a guy like him to immediately acclimate to the offense.
Yeah.
And I think we need to give him a lot of credit for doing that here down the stretch. And you're leading a 7th round rookie into battle as the 2 seed against the Cowboys, and you just put a big old whooping last week on another team. Brock Purdy put over 300 yards passing last week, like 300 yards passing. Was it 3 touchdowns?
Yep, 3 TDs
and zero picks.
No turnovers.
That's not rookie numbers. So I'll put that way when it comes to him. So this is not a Mark Sanchez situation. This is not one of those where it's, I got this great running game and great defense. I'm just going to let them carry me all the way to the AFC Championship 2 years in a row. No, this guy's much better than that, and we're seeing it kind of unfold. And it's going to be interesting to see going into next year what their plans are quarterback-wise. But, yeah, I think we all 3 here have the 49ers to take a win on that one.
I'll throw one other thing out there in the fact that the Cowboys just beat Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Yeah.
That was their Super Bowl. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, because it's coming to an end right now. You're not going to do shit. I mean, those guys, they celebrated so much. Oh, my gosh, we just beat the GOAT, Tom Brady. And to me, that was their Super Bowl. And I think their mentality is going to be way off in this game. And I think it's got blowout potential. But if I was going to bet on this game, which I might actually bet on it, I'm definitely taking the Niners to cover that 3.5.
Well, let's talk about that maybe. I know we've been talking lots of sports. Tanner, do we have any comments we need to get to?
Nope, no new comments.
All right. They got tired of our NFC talk, I guess. So yeah, I get it. I mean, we harp on the AFC all day long because we're Chiefs fans, and then we spend 10 minutes on the NFC.
Did you know that the best 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are all in the AFC? I bet you guys didn't know that. That's why nobody gives a shit when we start talking about the NFC.
Oh yeah, are we
Did
gonna
you know that?
Are we gonna revisit Jeremy's comment
about
about the ranked QB play last week, worst to first from the 6 winners?
Okay, we can do that game, I guess, real quick.
I want to know yours first.
Ranking them in order. So hold on, what was
What?
say
So
Quarterbacks?
of the 6 teams in this divisional playoff,
Mhm.
right? 1, 2, 3,
There's
4.
8,
There's
but
8.
go ahead.
6 winners. So minus the 2 buys. So 6 winners from last week. right?
Mhm.
Rank those quarterbacks from worst to first. Worst to best.
This is a lot of math that
So-
I'm not able to do right now.
I'm not doing
So
it.
minus
I'm not doing
you're
it.
not doing it?
No, I'm
Okay,
doing
well-
the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Well, in the
Okay.
play, how about in the playoffs right now?
In the,
We
in
just
the
do that.
whole, no, I want to do the
Why
whole.
are we talking the NFL? Nobody cares
Because
about the
there's
whole
one
NFL.
guy, there's one guy in the top 5 that is out of the
Okay.
playoffs,
Who?
and the rest of them are
Aaron
still in.
Rodgers.
So number 1, I already told you, Mahomes. Number 2, Joe Burrow. Number 3, Josh Allen. Number 4, Justin Herbert. Number 5 is Trevor Lawrence. Those are the best 5 quarterbacks in the league. They're all in the AFC. That's why
What?
when you guys are asking me,
Is your
where
list?
we start talking about the NFC, where's our comments? It's because nobody listens to your shit
What?
when you start talking
Where'd
about
you
the
get
NFC.
this top 5 list? Are you listening to Acho or something like that?
Really? Okay.
Did you just put Joe Burrow at 2 and
I'm not listening
well,
to Acho.
Lawrence at 5.
I'm not
Hold
listening
on.
to
What's wrong with
Acho.
putting Burrow at 2 though?
I don't like Burrow too.
First of
But
all,
there's nothing wrong with putting him at
first
2.
of all,
That's fair.
you listen to Acho 100 times more
never
than I do.
listened
So
to
I'm, just,
Acho.
I'm not even talking
Joe
about
Burrow's
I don't even know if I said
3-0
his name
against the
right.
current league MVP. He deserves to be at least number 2.
I'll give him 3.
All I'm saying is
Over-
the best
Over what, Allen?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
best 5 quarterbacks in the league. They're all in the AFC. That's all I'm telling you right now.
Right. Hey,
So I don't
No,
care about
I-
all the rest
so
of
I
this
appreciate
shit.
the question from Jeremy, but
So-
I don't think we can do it right
So
now.
my 6 for the winner's 6
We
here.
got out of control.
I'll give you Jones. Okay. So I'll give you Jones at worst. I'll give you Dak at 5th. And
Purdy.
then I'll probably do. Oh no, I'm sorry. We'll switch that around. Lawrence, Dak, and then Purdy, Allen, Burrow.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Burrow
well,
best, Allen
I've
2nd
got-
best.
You're leaving
Purdy
out
then.
Jalen Hurts.
I can't bet.
Trevor-
I said minus the buys.
Trevor Lawrence is going to have a better career than Dak Prescott. I can
Minus
tell
the
you that
bias,
right
Mike.
now.
It's not that
I'm
hard.
I'm
Right,
not
the
It's
playing
not
this
confidence points.
Not
okay?
playing this game.
It's not confidence
This is
points.
about as bad as confidence points.
Yeah,
'Cause
just let him finish his list, and then we can argue some more.
That was it. That was
no,
the
That was it.
look. All right, guys. Look, we're gonna get to easy money bets here in just a moment. I know this show last week we were done in 50 minutes. It means we owe you guys at least 10 more minutes, right? So we're gonna get to easy money bets here in just a moment. So first and foremost, though, I spent 2 nights ago with my girlfriend on the couch, and I made her lay there and watch 40-year-old virgin with me on the couch on Monday for a while. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I mean, it's one of Steve Carell's greatest. And there's some amazing actors. And did you guys even realize what's it? Some of the names in that movie? I can't remember right now. But there's just some incredible actors in that movie. What are you laughing about, Tanner?
You're all bothering now because I started that question and now you made you think and now you're
Now I'm
mad.
just-
So if you're looking
Overdrive.
at actors in that movie, Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen, Catherine Keener, Romani, Malco,
there's more.
Elizabeth Banks was
Yeah,
in
more.
there. Like
There's
who?
more.
Jonah Hill,
There's a certain comedian even in that
Mindy
movie.
Kathleen,
Even a certain comedian in that movie.
Kevin Hart
Kevin
was
Hart,
in
yeah.
there.
Kevin Hart's in there.
Uh,
It's one of the great movies.
David
really,
Koechner, whatever.
it's one of the great movies of all time. And I remember watching it. I went to the movie theater with my uncle at the time. He's only a year older than me, guys out there. Calm down. He had his girlfriend with him, and I think I was roughly 14, 15 years old, something like that. But I just remember I laughed my ass off the entire movie, and I thought it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Watching that movie unfold because of the kind of humor that was in there, and you had the humor of what was allowed in the 90s almost combining with the humor that's no longer allowed in today's society of everyone's offended by everything. You can't say this or that word. And you had those things combining into one movie, like at a certain time where so many things were perfectly offensive at the right
It
time.
was.
And 2005 was a wonderful year because of that, because it was the ultimate situation of combining the time when we were more lenient and understanding of just enjoying life, and then we ran it right up into this other side that we're currently in, and they combined of now we're not allowed to say these things anymore. Someone's gonna be upset. Well, 40-year-old virgin was perfect for that situation, and I wanted to ask you guys your favorite movie that is 15 years old or more. That
Yeah, I was like, oh,
favorite
more.
comedy
was
or
like,
more.
40-year-old version
Well,
being 05.
so it was 05, right? So that
Yeah.
would have been 18 years ago. So, but around that time period is what I'm talking about. These things combined this kind of moment before the social media outburst began. And I want to ask you guys. So, your favorite movie, 15 years or more, that you've ever seen comedy wise. I want to hear comedies only. No serious bullshit. I want to hear shit where they said all kinds of ass and bitch and fuck and all those kind of bad words, because these days there's certain words you can't say, and one day you won't be able to say those 3 words that is said.
I just, I'm going to have to give you my second favorite because 40-Year-Old Virgin was also my favorite. because the thing that you didn't talk about is like back then we didn't really know too much about guys like Paul Rudd and
Yeah.
Kevin Hart, and both of those guys were in the movie. And like, if you know what those guys have accomplished now, and then you look back and those were the roles that they played in that movie, it's just like, my gosh, I mean, those guys are superstars
and
right
Steve
now.
Carell started The Office, right after
Yeah.
that, like he blew up his own freaking life.
And I told you this off air, this is how much I love that movie. And this was back when I was single. I would turn on that movie and go to sleep to it at night, every night for like, I think I did it for a whole year.
Sense.
I think I did it for 365 days that one year. It was my favorite movie of all time. I was addicted to it. I was addicted to that fucking movie, and it was amazing. But so that's why I have to give you my second favorite. I'm going to go with 2008 Tropic Thunder.
Ooh.
And
now that's another one that's right on the edge of that
very controversial
offensive line before we went too far off the deep end.
It's just one of those JG style of movies where, everything is out there, just throw everything out there and see what sticks on the wall.
Well, they did have blackface in that movie. That was probably
the
a little
cast.
extreme.
I mean, the cast, you had
Robert Downey Jr.
you had
so well.
So you had Ben Stiller, who went full blank, which I'm not allowed to say on this show.
Not anymore.
Apologies for previous shows.
In 2008, you probably could have said that word and no one would have blinked tonight.
You had Ben Stiller, you had Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., Danny McBride, Bill Hader, and Nick Nolte, and two of my favorites in the entire movie were Matthew McConaughey and Tom Cruise. And so,
I forgot about Matthew McConaughey.
Oh my gosh.
You missed Danny McBride too, man.
Go back,
dude. That cast is amazing.
Bill
Amazing
Hader,
cast.
Bill Hader,
right? There's some amazing.
Tobey Maguire.
So
characters in that.
that would probably be my favorite, except for the fact that I watched 40-Year-Old Virgin like 1,000 times.
Jason
right after
Bateman
it
was
came
in
out.
there.
Bateman was in that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Tom Cruise at the very end,
Martin Lawrence,
fat suit and everything.
Lance
too.
Bass, if you're an instant guy,
Damn,
like,
that's a hell of a list.
Everybody.
Kevin Pollak. Wow.
They bet the farm on that
Hell of a
movie.
list.
Hey, this is what we talk about in the betting world. They bet the farm and they won. They won on
See,
that movie.
I don't know I can't remember what year this one came out, but you and I talked about earlier Wedding Crashers, and that was one of my favorite movies of all
05.
time. It
That
was
was
05.
Yep.
I loved Wedding Crashers, and like if people watch that movie, like if it was put out today, it would get a lot of backlash just because womanizers, and just they would go on and on, like they would find a way to destroy it.
Yeah, that one's definitely on my list because like I really identify with that movie, because one of my favorite lines is when the Owen Wilson character, they walk into the wedding and Owen Wilson says, "We're just here to get drunk." Like, does that not define that just defines like
Right.
my life and your life, and you're like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just here to get drunk.
Right.
Like, what do you want? Like, it's just amazing movie, dude.
And also it encouraged everyone of that age group at the time to we all wanted to crash a wedding because of that movie.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like everyone thought to themselves, like, man, if there's a wedding going on at this hotel I'm staying at, man, it'd be badass to crash it. Like, it's some kind of way and just act like you're a part of the group. Like, we all wanted to do that.
But I feel like they could also do that movie nowadays too. I don't think it's something.
But they'd have
that
to
would
tone it down a
offend-
bit. I don't know, man.
I don't think it would offend people now
No?
because it's just like, we're here to get drunk. We don't want to offend anybody. We're just here to have a good time.
You don't think they'd be called misogynist or something like that?
I don't think for that particular movie. They
I know.
definitely would for the 40-Year-Old Virgin, though.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah, I think they would.
Well, okay. Well, Tanner, what's your movie of choice? What's your favorite one?
There's a lot of good ones in there, right? I mean, this area is
Oh,
just
yeah.
full of them. I'm a big Will Ferrell guy, so
Mhm.
the only way I can start this here, it's also Steve Carell's in this one too, right?
I believe it.
Big one. Gonna hold my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. Miles always been when it's right, while waiting to the middle of the cold dark night. When everything's a little clearer in the light of day. You guys are supposed to join then. I don't know if apparently you guys haven't
I'm
watched
letting
it.
you go to solo.
Apparently you're not very good on the quotes
I'm
here.
letting you go to solo here.
Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy, guys.
Please stop singing.
If you would only sing with me, you could. Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd, Steve Carell, David Kochner's in there. Chris Parnell, Ben Steele, Harrison Ford was in this one. Seth Rogen, Fred Willard. The list goes on and on and on and on. John C. Reilly was even in this one. Drake was in
Drizzy.
Hold on.
Look.
He said he was started from the bottom. Now he here. But hold on. How far at the bottom was he? He was in that movie.
He was an extra. I think one of the fight.
Oh, so you're telling me he wasn't really at the bottom?
He wasn't that far at the bottom. Look, this movie here was one of the, I think, biggest breakouts for Will Ferrell in this era. Led into Step Brothers, Anchorman 2, all that stuff. So this movie here, great childhood memory. Can quote probably the damn entire thing as I watch it. Just saying afternoon delight, by the way, in case nobody here knew what it is. I don't know what you guys' problem is. When you're supposed to join, you join in.
Yeah, I've heard it before. I just didn't want to hear your voice.
Well, you could have joined in and we could have been duetting or whatever. So,
That's
whatever.
bad.
The disrespect around here in this. So, but no, love this movie here. Brick Tamlin was one of my favorite, of course, Champ. Yeah, I just don't know what to say, man. Anchorman was one of the best. Led to a lot of great movies.
One of my favorites was Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Well, yeah.
And those of you who've been listening since day one,
Wasn't that 90s though?
well, yeah, that was 90s. I don't know. I'm talking about my favorite comedy, probably.
I'm like, yeah, like if we're doing like
But
overall 94.
No, I think
but-
Dumb and Dumber was better than Ace.
Actually.
Dumb and Dumber
See,
was better than Ace.
that's where we just
Ventura.
have just a different opinion.
Dumb and Dumber.
I for some reason I'm
It was better
better.
I'm a big Ace Ventura fan for some reason.
because it's got
and
a football. It's got a football
Thank you.
reference.
Thank you.
Okay, just
Thank
let
you.
Talk
him-
about Dan Marino and
That's
the
right.
damn Dolphins.
Mike,
Let him have his day.
Talked
on the
about
side.
Chubbs earlier. I get horny when I see
Chubb.
football movies. Dan Marino was in that movie, so I got horny.
You did have a full Chubb for that movie.
Forever. I still have a full Chubb for that movie.
No, Dumb and Dumber was definitely better than Ace Ventura.
Whatever, you guys. I have my reasonings for enjoying Ace Ventura the most. So.
Great movie. Just
All right. Well, anyways, we got time to finish up real quick, you guys. We got Tanner, pull up the book.
okay. I got it up.
We got
The book.
time for the book. We have our easy money bets of the week. If you stayed this long, that means lucky you get to make money now. So, with that said, Tanner, last week, tell us real quick how we
I
did.
didn't recap it.
Okay, well, I finished the season. To this point,
Wait, you want the recap?
I want to know if we
I
won or lost.
I didn't do anything last week.
What do you mean?
I didn't write nothing down last week.
Okay, well, I won. I picked the Jaguars money line.
I don't remember what my bet was.
You picked the Jaguars money line, right?
No, he bet the
I had
Bills.
the
Remember?
Bills.
He had the
Oh,
Bills.
Bills, but you said to bet $8,000.
I bet $8,000
On the
to
money
make
line.
a
to make
grand.
$1,000.
That counts. They almost lost.
Who said someone else said the Jaguars money line with.
No, I don't.
I think you might have. Anyways, I had Jaguars
remember
money
that.
line is what I had last week. So
So
I
no,
nailed mine.
I did it. I get
Which-
2 plus 2 over there.
which means I'm 15-5
and I'm
on
above.
the year.
I'm above 500 for the record.
I'll view it later.
Yeah, I'm
on the
15-5 on the season so far.
I'll
So
view the tape later.
guys, let's make our picks, and that way we can let the people out there staying up all night on a Wednesday to lay in their bed and enjoy themselves.
All right, let's get to it, guys. New York Giants at Philadelphia. I already told you this is a divisional matchup, so this is a little bit different game. I'm not going to be surprised, guys, if the Giants win this game. They probably will win this game, but I am certainly going to take the Giants plus 7.5 at Philadelphia. Again, I do not believe Jalen Hurts is right, and even if he is, he's going to be rusty in this fucking game, okay? So give me the Giants plus 7.5.
Very nice, very nice. So keeping it close, and I get it. Hey, that makes a lot of sense. I totally get it. I'm going to give you guys an over/under on this one. So obviously we're running down. We only have 4 games to pick from. Normally I like to look at the big picture of looking at 16 games in an ideal world, right? We're down to 4. So I really like the over/under right now in the Cowboys 49ers sitting at 46. I'm actually going to take the over in that game. And it might surprise some people,
Son of a
but
b-
I'm taking the over in that game because I believe, first of all, in the 49ers offense to put up points and make big plays as they've done so far to this point, Brock Purdy at quarterback. And I also believe Cowboys are not going to lay down easily in this matchup either. I think at this point, Dak will be throwing the ball 55 times if he
He's
has
going
to.
to sling it.
So you got CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you got weapons. I mean, you have weapons offensively, receiving wise, to make plays. And 46 to me, if you're looking at 46, you're looking at you're assuming it might be a 23-17 win by one team or the other. I don't see it that way. I really truly believe that we see a high-ish scoring game in this matchup, and we've proven earlier this year the 49ers can fold defensively. The Chiefs put up a big number on them. I believe we put up 43 on the 49ers earlier this year, somewhere around that mark anyway. But anyways, I really like over the 46 on this one because both offenses are going to be fighting, and it's going to be a close matchup. And in close matchups, I personally enjoy higher scoring games to happen. So give me the over 46.
I wish we had a button because I would like to do a sports buffoons double down on that one.
Double down.
That's what I had
That's
too.
fair, Tanner. We've done double downs before.
Yep.
We've
So
done it
over
before.
46. Like Brock Purdy is known to score it between usually 20 to 30 points every game. And then Dak over there should be able to sling it a little bit and at least score at least 20. I think they can get at least 20 in this one. So I am going to do the double down on this one here because that's what I had too.
I'm leaning closer to the 51 mark on this game as far as total points scored. So
And I've already told you that San Francisco is probably going to cover. So like that, I'm kind of in with you guys on that. I just think that Dak's going to have to throw a lot in this game. I think San Francisco, big offensive weapons. They're going to put up a lot of points, and Dallas is just going to start slinging it out of desperation. So I'm with you guys on that.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with the double down. I mean, we've done that earlier this year.
Triple down.
So triple down, we all three agree. But here's the thing: we all season long, we've never had a game where all three of us we're in agreement on this because we don't talk about this before the show.
No, we don't.
So those of you out there listening, whenever you hear us give our opinions on our best for the week and our easy money picks, we do not discuss this amongst ourselves at all. These are surprises to each other. So if we all three were ever in unison on a choice, that means you should probably put out $1,000 and just throw that out there.
I'll take the over.
And I'm
Give me
not
the
a
over.
Financial advisor, but I would say it's probably a good idea to do that.
Well, you could have made $1,000 last week if you would have bet the Bills money line.
But you would have needed $8,000 to throw down. So that's something to keep.
I'm just saying, you can make money. You can make money.
Right.
Do you guys think the Cincinnati Bengals game hang on here. I was just trying to find something and I lost it. What was the odds? There was the odds there in this one. Oh no, I want to talk to Jacksonville KC 8.5. Would you take that 8.5 that won Jacksonville?
Would I take Jacksonville to do the 8.5?
Yeah.
Like to cover
that bet.
No, not necessarily. I would not. I think when you run into the Chiefs in this situation, the Jaguars, if the Chiefs, Andy Reid in the playoffs could be different from Andy Reid we see in the regular season. And yeah, the Jaguars came back and put up some points there at the very end of the game back in, week 9 or whatever it was. I don't see that happening the same way in the playoffs. So if the Chiefs do get up and a chance to stomp on the throat, so to speak, I see us potentially winning by 14 or more.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I'm staying away from actually both AFC games betting wise. That's why I'm trying to hit on the 2 NFC games. But if I were going to bet on that game, I could totally see the Chiefs covering on that spread because it's 8.5. Like I said, Jacksonville, I feel like in a way, after that epic comeback, they feel like they just won the Super Bowl too. And so I think, the Chiefs could totally roll in this game. So if I was going to bet, yeah, I would stay away from Jacksonville on that one.
Okay.
I would definitely go with the Chiefs to cover. If you're a gambling addict and you must bet on that game, I would probably take the Chiefs to cover.
Which, by the way, will be at Hollywood Casino Friday night. By the way, guys, if you're listening, come hang out for a minute, have a drink or something with us.
Come on out. We might give you a quick table lesson.
I will probably be placing a sports bet right there at the casino.
You won't do that.
Ooh,
I mean, normally I use the apps, But I mean, when the
Ooh.
situation arises that if I'm there, I might as well lay a bet down. So
Sports betting at Hollywood Casino
there's a good chance that happens.
and table games at the same time.
I might lay down a big bill, but you never know what that means.
What are
So.
we
Throwing
doing?
hundreds. We're throwing hundreds.
What are we doing for the Chiefs game?
Chiefs game. So during the game, we're going to be going out to the bullpen. 135th and Schweitzer, I believe, is the other crossroad there. Neiman and Overland Park down there and a little bit south. So if you guys are in the area, want to hang out and say hi and watch the game with us, please come by, hang out. We'll all three be there, as well as my girlfriend and another friend of ours and his wife.
And a bunch of other
randoms, you know. So
it'll be fun.
Well, I'll be there, and if AC's still listening, AC, come out, hang out for a bit, and you could join as well. So.
Most importantly, you get to meet the buffoons. You get to meet and greet the buffoons out there.
Are we doing a meet and greet now? Is that what it is?
Sure, why not? I don't care.
All right, I
don't care. You gotta watch the damn game. What more do you want?
I'm there to definitely watch the game. So don't talk to me while the game's on. God damn it.
It's true. Before or after, or even halftime a little bit.
All right. Well, I'm done. We ran this one a little bit longer than normal, so
actually we're right on par.
I'm hour and a half.
Hour 31.
Whatever. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm all done here. You guys are done here. I'm glad we talked a lot of football today because you know what? Pretty soon I'm not going to have football anymore in my life. So I'm getting the whatever I have left out of me into this. And
he's getting ready for the NBA
talk.
And then you'll see me over here snort like that, like the whole time. And I'll be, what do you think of this player? You know, all that
what do you think of Chris Paul, by the way? Chris Paul.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys on the next one.
Outro.
See you guys.